black social workers, and all the other organizations began to provide services to those communities. Those are just some of the examples of what we've been attempting to do. Last and certainly not least, we're in the process of finalizing a memorandum of understanding with FEMA. Every time a disaster occurs in this country, we're always wondering, how can we mobilize the black community? Those of us who are frustrated with how white people respond to our issues, we've decided that we must do things a little bit differently. We hope that in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will have a finalized agreement that will allow us to be at the table anytime a disaster hits, and we can then deploy our own people to the communities that we know are most adversely impacted. So that's just 2 small examples of some of the work that the Black Family Summit is attempting to do. The last point I want to make is this: we do not in any way take away from the mission and the objectives of any organization. Our focus is around collaboration and partnerships. There is no membership dues to belong to the Black Family Summit. And as you heard earlier in, I think it was today or last night, we have 2 new members that have just joined us. Sister Andrea James' organization has the national work that she's doing. Actually, there are 3. Brother Kenny Braswell's organization, and also Queen Sister Spate. We're doing that because they are involved in national work that complements some of the work that we're doing with the other Black Family Summit organizations. I know I was a little bit longer than I wanted to be, but I wanted to at least put into context how we got to where we are and how do we function. Now what I would like to do is to introduce who's at the table. Starting to my left is Brother Carlisle Holder, who is the president of the National Association of Blacks in Criminal Justice. You will hear more from him in just a second. And Carlisle resides in the Orlando, Florida area. This is Sister Dorothy Johnson Spate. And you know of her organization, you'll hear it very shortly, and she resides in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is my newest brother. We just met today, but we have been partners with the Association of Black Psychologists since 1994. And he just got in from Los Angeles last night, and we were really happy to have Dr. Darrell Rowe, who's the president of the Association of Black Psychologists, join us on this occasion. Next to him is my first psychiatrist. I know you look at me and wonder, how crazy am I? So I've got both of my psychiatrists are here today. This is Sister Dr. Adele Prim, who is the convener of the All Hills Mental Health Alliance. She resides here in Baltimore. She grew up, however, in New York. Next to her is my second psychiatrist. This is Dr. Nana Pat Newton. Nana Newton resides here also in Baltimore, has her own practice, and for those of us who had the opportunity to spend some time with her at dinner, will remember all of the travails that she has experienced. I also want to say that she is a chief. The village is what, Nana? In Ghana, West Africa. Next to her is my brother I've known for too long, but in a good way. This is Brother Nana Joe Benton from Columbia, South Carolina. And you heard him say he's originally from Seattle, Washington. We've known each other for eons. He is the current president of the National Association of Black Social Workers. And Brother Kenny Braswell, he's over. Now, Kenny is very interesting. When we did the work out in Coney Island, he was a part of the group that I just described to you that was doing the healing work around Hurricane Sandy. It was Brother Kenny Braswell who took all of the video of the sessions for us, but he also provided counseling services for the residents of Auburn. I will not get into great detail about that, but that's Kenny Braswell, in addition to the great work that he does on behalf of young men throughout this country. That's the membership of the current Black Family Summit in terms of who's present. Ron Hampton is here, and I don't know why he didn't slide over, but you heard him say what organization he represents, but that organization is also a member of the Institute of Black Welfare 21st Century Black Family Summit. Now, without further ado, let me introduce to you our first presenter. And I will not do this for everyone, but I wanted to at least highlight something that I thought was very interesting about this queen. Following the tragic murder of her son, Khalid Jabbar Johnson, in 2001, over a parking space dispute, Ms. Johnson Spade, along with other grieving mothers, founded the nonprofit organizations Mothers in Charge. MIC is a grassroots organization whose mission is violence prevention through education and proactive intervention with children. She has chapters in Wilmington, Delaware, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Nashville, Tennessee, Atlantic City, New Jersey, as well as Brooklyn, New York. Brother Don Rojas, who is somewhere around, had the opportunity to see the entire film that you're about to see here, presented by Sister Dorothy Spade. However, she's only going to give you a 7-minute version. Am I correct?
It's about 7 minutes.
It's about 7 minutes long. Once she concludes her presentation, Kenny Braswell will make his presentation. And then we will start with Brother Joe Benton, who will do a 10-minute overview of what his organization is doing. We're going to ask him and all the other presenters to also, if they have some thoughts on how they might support the two presenters that precede them, how that might occur, or if they're willing to consider, as they move down the road, how the organizations might be able to support the work that Sister Spade and Brother Braswell is doing. And that will be the format, and then we'll get into the question and answers. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Sister Dorothy, and you can decide how best to have your film introduced.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. Good evening, family. It has been truly a pleasure being here this day and a half. It's been empowering and motivating and all of that. The little clip you're about to see is a little 5-minute clip that the early show did on Mothers in Charge. As you heard, Mothers in Charge is a group of mothers, grandmothers, aunts, and sisters, most of whom have lost a son, daughter, or loved one to violence. Founded the organization in 2003, so we're celebrating 11 years this year. Do a lot of kinds of support for families who've lost loved ones, but more importantly, we do a lot of intervention and prevention around violence and looking at how we can make a difference in our community. One of the mothers said, we're losing so many of our loved ones to violence and also to the criminal justice system. We're losing one to the cemetery and one to the incarceration. So we're doing work on both sides and realize that they're all our children. So the clip you're about to see, I don't think it shows, we're in 3 prisons in Philadelphia. The prison that you'll probably see on this video was actually a program we started about 4 years ago at Riverside Correctional Facility, which is for women. And we've been there for the last 4 years doing a program called Thinking for a Change. It's a program we do inside the walls, and then we support the women coming home. So this is the early show. I think it was about 1.5 years ago that they came down from New York to do this.
Ready?
Right.